I cannot believe that you got ready for school on your own today, John Henry. Second grade is going to be a very exciting year for you. Don't forget to eat your apple before you get on the bus.
Good morning. You know that I love school, Mama. First grade was fantastic. I could hardly sleep last night. Oh. And this apple is not for me, silly. It is for my new teacher.
Can someone please help John Henry with finding the main idea of the story? Thank you for attending this progress report conference, Mrs. Crawford. Is there something going on at home that I should know about?
Of course not. What are you trying to imply, Mrs. Ford?
John Henry seemed to be a very promising student the first few days of school. Now, his reading average is 53%. When I ask him to read aloud, he hesitates to participate, and when he does, it is obvious that he is not paying attention to the words that he is reading. He seems very distracted. During yesterday's spelling test, he scribbled a hole into the paper, crumpled it, and then stormed out of the classroom without my permission. If he does not care about his future, he could at least have courtesy for his classmates who are at least trying.
Mrs. Ford, I did not raise my son to behave this way. Please know that when he gets home, he will be punished. No more television, Xbox, or ice cream until he brings his grades up.
Mama. It's not my fault. I am trying my best. The teacher hates me.
Back when you improve your grades, young man.
I hate school.
Sadly, many of us have experiences similar to John Henry. Initially, we were indeed very excited about school, and then at some point, we began having difficulties. It is so confusing because we know that we are trying our best. The teachers accuse us of goofing off or not paying attention, but we really are. Our parents become upset and frustrated and say that we don't appreciate their support. It just does not seem fair. We are living with a condition that is now known as dyslexia. In the United States, it has been estimated that as many as 43.5 million are affected. Slightly more than 2 million students are receiving individualized education services for a reading disorder. So although we may sometimes feel alone, we certainly are not. In fact, dyslexia is the most common cause of reading, writing, and spelling difficulties. Unfortunately, students with dyslexia are more likely than our peers who do not have dyslexia to drop out of high school and become unemployed, underemployed, or incarcerated. Some of us feel ashamed about our dyslexia, but scientists and researchers have uncovered definitive evidence that proves that dyslexia has nothing to do with our level of intelligence. It is a biologically inherited trait that influences the way in which our brains process arbitrary linguistic and symbolic codes. Written language did not always exist. Centuries ago, people simply used spoken language to communicate with each other. However, they soon began to realize that it would be more convenient to incorporate messages in the form of pictures, especially when communicating with people who are far away. Ancient Egyptians used hieroglyphics, or pictographs. The Chinese also communicated with pictographs, but over time, scholars invented a simpler style of language known as ideograms. Writing with hieroglyphics or ideograms was very time-consuming, however, and it was difficult to memorize all the ideograms, so people around the world created symbols that represented sounds, and thus formed alphabets. This newer method of writing, the alphabetic method, has been used for reading and writing for thousands of years. Some time ago, though, people had the idea that children should learn to recognize whole words, without being concerned about individual letters. This has caused problems for those who are cognitively predisposed to find ideograms difficult. When students are taught by the whole word, or sight word recognition method, words merely become things to us, and we have to try to remember what they are just by looking at them. That is why we might look at the word robin and say bird. But we must remember that we are very intelligent. We simply do not learn ideograms easily. That is what makes reading and spelling so hard. The awesome news is that we are now going to approach reading and writing using the alphabetic method. We are going to learn the sounds of letters and then build them into words. We will also investigate word parts and components to help us with encoding and decoding words. Like the people that you see behind me, there are many outstanding persons who live with dyslexia and find great success, such as Thomas Edison, Agatha Christie, Cher, Whoopi Goldberg, Danny Glover, Bruce Jenner, Magic Johnson, Tom Cruise, John F. Kennedy, Winston Churchill, and Leonardo da Vinci. Join me as we embrace our dyslexia and learn to understand it, so that we can be proud of the strength and resilience that it has instilled in our spirits.